Hello everyone, my name is Gerardo and in this video I will explain you how to play the Strange Forgeries, the demo version. As the name suggests, this is a free demo of this game that only requires you to print some paper and get some markers. The Strange Forgeries of Mr. Schöber is a logic induction game for 3 to 7 players which lasts approximately 45 minutes. In this game, 2 to 6 art collectors supply their museum from one gallerist. Yet, some of those masterpieces are fake, created by the skilled art forger who gives the name to the game, Mr. Schöber. So player will have to use their wits to distinguish what a fake is from what an original is. And this will work because one of these players, the gallerist actually, will invent a secret rule in the beginning of the game, which they will use through the course of it to distinguish an original drawing from a fake. Is original if it respects the rule, and if it's a fake, if it doesn't. So collectors will make drawings and submit them to the galleries, which in turns will reveal whether it was an original or a fake. And therefore, drawings after drawings, experiment after the experiment, collectors will eventually start to figure out what this secret rule is about. At the end of the game, whoever is closest to the truth will be the winner, using a scoring system that we'll explain later. So, if what you had just heard intrigued you, then you have come to the right place, because this video is about a free demo that you can download it for free. The link is in the description. And although the base game and its expansion have much more features, it will give you an idea on the feeling of playing. So consider to support me if you like this demo, and there is a link in the description where you can actually pre-order the complete game. In this video, we will showcase a demo called Glue, which I personally designed. Again, the link is in the description. However, bear in mind that the following sections of this video contain spoilers for Glued. So if you plan to play this very demo and not others, make sure that only the gallerist, the player that will impersonate the gallerist, participates in the viewing of this video from now on. Also note that these components are disposable, as the same demo cannot be played by the same group of players more than once. So, nevertheless, you don't have to worry, and I will release new demos from time to time, and you can write me in my email, which is in the description, so I will know that you are interested in receiving them, and I will know where to send them. So if you're ready, let's move with setup. After downloading the file containing one of our demo, you will notice that some pages have a printer symbol on that. Print out all of the ones with the number of players who will sit at your table. 1 or 2 of these pages need to be cut into 4 parts, so be sure to have a scissor with you. You will also have to get a marker for each player. Once the components have been printed out and cut, you are ready to set up the game board. You will be the gallerist, so keep the sheets marked with a gray icon in front of you. Hand over to each collector the other sheets, the one that bear the color that they chosen. For example, hand these sheets to the red player. In this way, each player will have 2 boards, the museum board and the player board. The latter is secret and can only be consulted by the player or the gallerist. Leave the museum board in plain sight in front of the respective player. Finally, make sure that each player has a felt tip pen. Normally, a game of the Strange Forgeries starts with the gallerist inventing a secret rule. In this case, this rule is already provided in the downloaded file, and 3 rounds of play have already been simulated. First of all, the gallerist consults the secret rule, which is found at page Artistic Manifesto in the downloaded PDF. The written part explains what the rule is and how to use it. In this case, a drawing consisting of a single group of contiguous figures will be an original. Otherwise, it will be a forgery. The 6 drawings on the left all represent original drawings. Vice versa, The drawings on the right represents fake drawings. For example, the fact that the trunk of the fir tree is detached from the canopy makes these drawings a fake. Attaching the trunk makes it an original. Similarly, the addition of an isolated dot on the left of this drawing is sufficient to turn it into a fake. Removing it makes an original. Note that even if certain parts of the figure do not touch locally, they are still original drawings if they are connected somewhere else. This is the case with the line of leaves of this fir tree, which, although disconnected from the right side of the canopy, they are connected to the left side. Collectors do not know the secret rule, of course, but they will have some clues from the start of the game, as 3 rounds have already taken place and has been simulated in the component in front of them. You will notice, in fact, that the player museums have been partly filled and that the player sheets contain the solutions. As for instance, by comparing the highlighted grid, the red player's land that these drawings is original. In addition, unlike the other museums, the gallery's museums shows the solution to some of the drawings on display. These solutions are available to all players from the start of the game. But don't worry, as a gallerist you can view all solutions conveniently from your player board, and there the icon above the grid will tell you the color of the player. Once you understood the anatomy of those components, you can start the actual game. So let's move to the next phase, which is called exhibition. In each of the 3 rounds that the exhibition phase lasts, the galleries decide how many drawings have to be submitted to him. In this round, the gallerist decides for 4, so each player, including the gallerist himself, will have to add 4 drawings to their museums. Once the required drawings have been prepared, the gallerists will write their solution in the player sheets of their authors. For their convenience, the gallerist reports the same solution on his own player sheet. Then, the gallerist can decide to hide the players and reveal the solution to any number of their drawings using the boxes provided. After 3 rounds, it's time to guess. Note that in this demo, a maximum of 20 drawings can be submitted by a single player. Each player must remove paintings from their museum until it contains as many as indicated by the museum level. This number is shown in the gallerist's museum. In this case, for a 4-player game, it is 10. The red player decides to remove the first 7 and the last 3. So the time has come for all collectors to guess the artworks that are still left in their opponent's museums. They will write an X in their player board if they think it is a fake, or a circle if they think it is an original. As always, the correct grid is indicated by the overimposed icon. Once all their bets have been placed, it is time to reveal the solutions. The gallerist reveals his player board, and each player must blacken all those squares that bear a different symbol. For example, in this case, these 2 grids are identical every time they bear a symbol, while these other 2 bear 4 differences. And they are therefore blackened out. Of course, if a player forgot to bid on a cell after solution are revealed, they have to mark them as a mistake. At this point, all players should have been able to mark all the mistakes, and therefore it's time to decide the winner. In the gallery's museum, you can find the difficulty level, or forger level. For a 4-player game, it is 4. This means that a collector who has scored 4 or fewer mistakes has guessed the rule and won the game. If more than one collector has guessed the rule, then the collector with the fewest mistakes is the winner. In this case, pink wins with only 1 mistake. Note that as a gallerist you should avoid a situation where none of all your friends have managed to guess the rule, or all of them has guessed the rule. In this way you ensure that you have provided a balanced experience for your players. But don't worry, unlike the core box, there are no penalty in this demo if you fail to do so. Just keep it in mind though. In this final section, I want to give some tips to you who are trying your hands at being the gallerist. And in particular, being the gallerist for this very demo called Glued. The secret rule of Glued reads: it must contain a single group of connected figures. Dots count as figures, and if the marks of the pen are so close together that it's difficult to see a separation, then consider the marks to be connected. Glued is my favorite secret rule for getting started with the Strange Forgeries. It is simple and allows me to bring your attention to 3 behaviors of a good game master. Number 1, don't confuse players. Deciding whether one figure is contiguous with another is extremely easy to apply consistently, and you will rarely struggle with your decision during the demo. So this makes Glued perfect for your first venture into this type of logic puzzles. Yet, you may be faced with a difficult case like the following. In this case, it is obvious that the player is trying to test whether the 2 Christmas balls hanging on the side of the fear tree are relevant to the secret rule. If they were, the yellow player assumes, the gallery solution should differ from left and right. And in fact they do differ. The tree on the right is original while the one on the left is fake. However, the reason is completely different. The player, drawing in haste, accidentally detached this dot from the foliage. And it's obvious that the yellow player intention was probably to keep the dot hanging in the foliage, as they did in the other drawing. But we have to categorize it as a fake if he would be the gallerist. Yet we are afraid of confusing the player. With this type of rule, the difficult cases will only be this kind. So my advice is as follows. Do not confuse the players any further. Instead, leave some clues with your subsequent drawings trying to activate their attention to all the details that you fear they may have missed out. For example, if I want to make the player realize that they should pay attention even to the smallest movement in the Christmas balls of their fear trees, I can execute these drawings. I copy them from their own model. And then I declare it that is an original because the Christmas ball is no longer floating. The author of the drawing from which I took inspiration will immediately draw their own conclusions. It is not about the 2 Christmas balls hanging on the side. Tips number 2. If you think it's easy, believe me, it's not. So another piece of advice is never to underestimate the difficulty of puzzle that seems trivial to you, which you already know the solution. You cannot imagine how difficult it is for those to whom the secret rule is completely unknown. In fact, the tendency of many players is to create extremely complex drawings, design, scribble, because they are afraid that they will be discovered immediately. However, this strategy is in reality extremely counterproductive, because it only ensures that no one will get the slightest bit of information about those drawings. And at the end of the game, no one will have guessed. And you definitely want to avoid this situation. So my piece of advice is, don't be afraid to give very obvious clues. Take this as for instance. As obvious as it may seem, this pair of 2 drawings says nothing about the orientation of the upper triangle being irrelevant. In fact, only a sequence of such evidence can prove it. Yet, this very sequence would tell us nothing about how the secret rule treats the dashed figures as, on the other hand, this series of evidence does. So I hope that this showed you how the apparent simplicity of a secret rule requires a broad range of evidence to be proven. Tip number 3. Find edge cases. If you should not underestimate how difficult things that seem simple to you are in reality. On the other hand, you should not panic if all of the players guess the secret rule at the first shot, because there is always a way to rise the level of the challenge by mastering the art of using edge cases. Imagine that you have just given the following clues to your player, which immediately afterwards give you the impression that they had guessed the rules on the fly. An interesting move to raise the bar of the challenge at this point could be this drawing. Since the connected part lies beyond the edge of the drawing, then the figure in the drawing is not connected, because it's within the drawing, unconnected. It seems original, but is fake indeed. Probably only a minority of players will not be fooled by this subterfuge and will try to bring new evidence to their museums and study this new odd phenomenon. The one I just explained is one of several examples of edge cases, borderline cases, that you can use during this demo to rise the level of challenge, in case you realize too late that you expose yourself too much and give out the solution. And that's pretty much it. That's how you play the Strange Forgeries, the demo. So if you will have the chance to put it on the table and you will like this experience, please consider to support what I'm doing by pre-ordering one copy of the core game, and I leave you the link in the description. I cannot but thank you for your attention and wish you a happy gaming.